Womp womp.
Cool. All right, man. So, welcome to the Flower Room. We're here with MichiganMatt. He's also
Great to have you.
the guy that puts on the Growers Gala. And it's a pleasure to have you in here today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you guys are putting this together and give us an opportunity and platform to speak.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, so I guess this guy's a grower, an event holder, and a advanced nutrient representative.
Multifaceted.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to carve out little niches within our industry, especially right now with the way the times are.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, got to wear many hats to stay relevant, always pivoting into new and exciting things.
No doubt.
Name of the game.
Yeah, and carving out your little niche, carving out your little lanes, like we have to be diversified nowadays.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
100%. All right, man. Well, as a grower, when did you start growing?
So I went, my first grow was 2009, and it was in my backyard in a little shed. I had like 2 raptor hoods, right, and like small little veg area. I was doing flood and drain, and I had never grown a plant until that point in my life, like not even like a house plant. Like I'd never done anything. So I'm like 24 at this time, and like we just went medically legal, and like now we can like start growing a little bit, and that's when I dabbled my toe, but I didn't really get serious into it until about 2014.
Cool. When you did your first grow, was it like what medium was it? I know like with flood and drain, a lot of times it's the
Rockwool.
oh Rockwool.
Nice.
Yeah, I ran that with Rockwool. 8 years, I think it was, that I ran Rockwool, and like I had a friend, and I've always been like prove people wrong kind of guy, or like perfectionist, and so we definitely, or I had some friends that used to tell me that Rockwool growing, you could never get the good flavor out of it, right? Like it was like you can never like perfect it and get the same quality weed that you can get out of like soil, peat based or cocoa based products. So I was always kind of challenged to break that and like break his train of thought and like beat him, right?
Nice.
So for 8 years I grew Rockwool, and like I grew some crazy ways and fashions that could have been way simpler now, like looking back on it. But 8 years I did it, and then I switched over to cocoa. And my first cocoa run, when I finished that and I smoked that flower, I'm like, oh my god, like I'm never going back.
This
like,
is it.
yeah, like you're talking about inert media versus media where organics and microbes and things can thrive, and the difference that brings out in flavor and terpene production is just, it's undeniable. And there's like kind of a trend in the industry right now where the big new hot topic, I think, is like this synganic approach, which is like the collaboration of like an organic and synthetic approach. So by like using advanced nutrients bases, but also using biostimulants versus using something like a hypochloric acid, where you're trying to keep everything sterile in an environment that it's impossible to keep sterile, right? Like,
Right.
let's be honest with ourselves. Like,
Fighting uphill.
yeah, like even in like emergency rooms, like our operating rooms, they can't be 100% sterile. There's no such thing. So why not use the microbes to help us instead of like killing them off to hurt us? Like I understand some people are like have issues and need to do root trenches and need to do things to, whether that be past testing or just survive in the market. But there's positive things happening in the world, like with underneath our feet, right, in the grounds, that we could utilize and help us achieve as great a success as excuse me, as possible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you did Rockwell, I was thinking, what is it, like hydrogen or hydrodin?
Yeah, so that's what it was. Like I started in a 6-inch Rockwell Hugo, and then I transplanted that into hydrogen balls.
Okay.
And like ran like ebb and flow system in flour, and like the grade in my shed was like backwards too, right? So like the grade was this way, so I had gravity working against me, so I always had water sitting in the bottom of the buckets.
Yeah.
Like I root rotted like almost every single crop I had. I had no idea about environment, how that plays a role in everything. Like
Right.
I didn't smoke my own flour for 6 to 8 years. Like it took me a while. Like it used to be like grow it just to sell it in order to fuel my habit with other people's products. So
Right.
and I've been a stickler like on what I'm smoking since when we talked about it a little bit earlier about finding green weed.
Yeah.
Right back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I've only grown in Rockwool, I think once, and I ended up just getting root aphids.
Ouch.
And I didn't know what the fuck they were. I thought it was fungus gnats. I just saw little flies floating around, and I was like, fungus gnats are no big deal. And then I looked at the bottom of the cube, and maybe I'll find some pictures and we can cut them in later or something. But it just looked like little brown beetles, and I was like, what the fuck? Because like my plants look very deficient.
Not your friends.
And it just, after that I never tried it again because it was just such a depressing.
And like they can be easily confused because the only really difference is like the fungus gnat has like a little tailpipe. Like you see they have like a little butt to them, I guess you could say.
And you can only know that if you look at it under a scope.
Exactly. And you're honestly like a lot of the new growers or guys that just like they don't realize that a bug is a certain bug doing a certain thing. So a lot of people don't know how to identify issues, and scouting's huge, especially in commercial cultivation. Like you have to be consistently scouting, always looking for problems and trying to figure out what the problem is, work backwards to try to figure out what maybe caused the problem, and then work forwards to help try to solve that problem in the future.
Yeah, dude, root aphids, that was a fucking rude awakening when I got into it and learned about like how to combat them and eliminate them from the grow. Root aphids are born asexual, so they can be a male or a female, so whatever suits them to like propagate their race forward, and they're also born pregnant.
So think about their evolution
combo.
cycle, right?
Oh
Like
my God.
our evolution cycle takes millions of years to actually to happen, right? Their life cycle is like 3 days. And they're going through like 6 different life cycles in that 3 days. Maybe not 6, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so they have a chance
Short
to
amount of time.
evolve way faster. That's why like in commercial cultivation and other cultivation, when you're doing like IPM sprays, integrated pest management, you have to rotate what you're doing or the bugs will build immunity, right?
And then you can't take them out.
And then you can't take them out. They're done. That's why like,
Take over.
what was it, like maybe 2018, 19, like the super thrip started coming around, right? Everybody had thrips and they're like, how the hell do we beat this? Like we can't beat this. Like, and nobody could figure it out. It's because like so many applications were already put to use towards them that they strengthen.
So also like, because I think I battled those same fucking thrips, and like spinosad would not work. Everybody would say like that's what you needed for it or whatever, but a friend of mine that managed some larger scale cultivations in Los Angeles, he was saying that there's different types of thrips. So I forget what it was. Oh no, I know what I used. I used Azagard from Biosafe
Yep.
mixed with Zerotol.
Yep.
I think it was 5.5 ml per gallon Azagard with the I think 30 ml Zerotol as a spray. And then also a root drench on the exact same day with I forget what it's called. But anyway,
Another BioSafe product.
it was not.
No.
It was I don't know. It basically made a biological, web. It was an organic product. So it just made like a microbe colony that would kill any larva or anything in the soil.
Yeah, you want to outcompete, right? Outcompeting is big. That definitely helps. Another thing is like there's no immunity to being eaten.
Yeah.
Right. So by introducing biocontrol or a beneficial predator mites like bugs that go in and eat the bad bugs, like there's no immunity to that. There's no resisting that. So that's like what I would always push into is like trying to introduce some sort of bug that can live within my media, live within my canopy to help fight off whatever it is that the issue is. That Azagard Zerotol mix that you're doing, so you're doing that's a fungicide and a pesticide. So you're doing like kind of a combination of 2 things there. The Zerotol I don't really think plays too much a role in fighting the thrip. I could be wrong. But it's more the Azagard, which is an azadirachtin, which is like, I believe that's the one that's derived from chrysanthemums. So it's like a mum that it's derived from. So it's a flower that's already in nature fighting what you were doing. It's just taking that ingredient, deriving it down, and then attacking. Azagard's like one of my top products for like actual bug attacks in the garden. Now we don't typically use it because we're introducing a lot of biocontrol, a lot of different type of insects and like hypoacis miles, which are little mites that live in the media. Row of beetles, they're a little bit bigger. Both of those like to go after thrips and fungus gnats as they're living within the media. And then doing like Cucumaris or Californicus or something like that. Those are bugs that live within the canopy. And then like protect
everything.
and fight against other stuff that might be going on within the canopy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like the
Life hacks.
reason for the zero tall is that maybe it helped like attack their exoskeleton or something.
It could be. I'm not
sure.
saying that that's not necessarily. It's not doing something. Like
Yeah. I just know it worked
there
for
could
me,
be
you
something.
know?
Yeah. And like, I don't try to pretend to know everything.
Yeah.
You know, like it's impossible. There's so much to know. You know.
Yeah.
So this is just like when I talk, I typically talk based on what makes sense in my mind. Like there's always like we have to continue, especially as cultivators, to ask ourselves why we're doing something. And if you're not able to answer that question, then what are you doing it for?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a good always like kind of inventory to go through all your nutrients that you're using, right? And being like, okay, what is the purpose that I'm using this one for? And like, if you can't answer that question, then cut that thing out because you don't even know what you're using it for. So now you're just wasting money on things. And honestly, less is more. Like we want to get these plants to thrive and to reach their genetic potentials. And the best way to do that, in my personal opinion, is environment. Like we got to dial that environment in first. Like you can't grow a healthy plant without a healthy room. Like, yes, you could have Kobe type genetics, but you're never going to realize you have Kobe when he's maybe playing on a garage basketball hoop.
Yeah.
Right. Like he needs a court. Right. So let's provide the court for the plants to be able to really to reach their full potential.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, well, I guess on to the next thing. I know you run the Growers Gala, and there's a few other events that you put on. How did you get into that space? That's a pretty cool thing.
There's a lot of bud tender appreciation nights that were happening that I was noticing. And I kind of started to understand the rules behind events in Michigan. And I saw successful companies having events, for instance, Exotic Matter and what he does with Olympics, Bring Your Best Bag, what the Cannababe girls do. Like I was watching these companies do this and be successful with it, and I'm trying to figure kind of my way out with it and like divide my little niche. And there's a lot of like bud tender appreciations, which I completely understand. Like these are the people that are customer front facing that like we need to give these people love because they're the ones that are presenting our product at the end of the day.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm not trying to take away from that, but where my strength is in the garden. And I've always been a gardener. I've always been a grower where, and over the years, all the relationships that I built with other growers. And then in 2014, I started a grow store. That's when I started making my shift into the cannabis industry a little bit more. And while working there, I met a lot of reps from a lot of different companies and became friends with like Justin from Advanced and like how I've kind of eventually shifted into a position with that company. But I made a lot of these relationships with these reps. So it was really 10 plus years of relationship building and then kind of hedging the two and hedging on myself and being like, it's time to bet on me, bet on MichiganMatt, bet on, what I have done. I typically seem to get along with people pretty well. And so I can use that relationship building skills to provide value on two fronts. So I said, why don't I do a grower appreciation? Like nobody would be doing anything they are doing today without the plant itself, and it's the growers that are doing it. So when I first initially started this, the very first one was last August, and that was the first Growers Gala, and it was literally like 200 dudes. You guys were there.
Yeah, it was a good time.
You were there.
I don't think
Fran
I
was.
Yeah.
I'll be at this one though.
Absolutely. But it was bringing a small group of closely related people within the industry that are all like-minded, that have good brands, that wanted to have an opportunity for them to be celebrated. And then on the sponsorship side, I went around and I found the companies that would have value having growers in the same room at the same time. So people like Advanced Nutrients, Canada did my first event. Bringing those two worlds together and providing an atmosphere that's not necessarily like expo-like, right? But it's providing the same type of ROI. Like it's important to have value for me for everybody that's going to be there, for the person that's in attendance or the sponsor. Like without getting value on both sides, these events don't continue to be able to be innovative, to be able to be creative, and to be able to continue to not have an expiration date. And whatever I can do to kind of avoid that expiration date is where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
Makes sense.
That's really cool.
What you mentioned that you started working at a grow store, or you started your own grow store?
Yeah, so I started working at a grow store, if you know. They were in Brighton and then moved over to Whitmore Lake, and they were one of the biggest grow stores in the country for the longest time. And it was during that period where I was growing in my shed. I was actually getting a little bit better at what I was doing. You know, I figured out the gravity thing. I was able to defeat root rot. You know, I was starting to evolve and like get better yields and stuff. So I'm like, my wife and I started talking about like, how can we make this shed bigger? Like, how can I make it bigger? I don't understand how to do it or what to do yet. And at that time, I didn't really have any friends that were growers outside of a couple of buddies of mine that also got licensed at the same time. I think a couple were rated by that point, so they stopped. And like I was like the last guy standing. And I'm at that point in my life, I'm going to college to be an accountant. You know, I was going to be a teacher. Like I'm trying to figure out my life path. I'm 24 years old. I'm about to have a kid. So I'm trying to figure out like my niche in life, and I'm sitting there working at the grow store, and I see these customers come in every month and they're buying 5 gallons of nutrients, like the same 5 gallon every month. Right. And it takes me like 3 cycles to get through a gallon. I'm like, what the hell are they doing that I'm not doing, you know? And so, it was like putting that together, asking those guys those questions. That's when I started building those grower relationships, learning from them on how to capitalize within the means of the law. And you have to be, as cultivators, we have to be cautious of what our restrictions are and then maximize it based on our restrictions. So our restriction is plant count. So maximizing plant count by doing 1 plant per light, right? So that was like the caregiver way for the 10 years or so that before licensing was carved out. And learning how to do that, how to grow at scale, learning, then getting myself from the shed to an actual 40 lighter that I ran by myself with my wife. Again, it would help from time to time with trimming and stuff like that. But I pretty much ran that thing by myself for 4 years. That was 90 miles from my house. So it wasn't like it was close.
The whole thing, yeah.
Oh, dude, like I'd get alerts at like 10 o'clock at night on Thanksgiving. Like I remember my father-in-law was over once and this happened. I'm like, I gotta go. I'll see you guys in about 4.5 hours. Like,
right.
So it was just, honestly, everything that happened back then hardened me and made me the person that I am today. So like, I'm grateful for all that opportunity and everything that's been behind me.
Sure.
But that's when like I was able to kind of step my game up and like start to learn commercial cultivation a little bit more, learn perpetual growing, learning how to do things a little bit scaled up a little bit more. And then around 2016, I think is around the first time that I heard about licensing. At this point, it was being proposed in the legislation. It wasn't passed or anything yet. It didn't pass again for another, I think, year. And then I think it was the 2018 election where we went legal.
Yeah.
It was like in that period where I was like starting to open my eyes to be like, oh my God, this is about to be huge. Like Michigan's about to be massive. I remember talking to a guy at Consumer Energy and telling him about this licensing thing that was coming on. He's like, wait, what? Like they didn't even know or understand the strain that was about to happen on the power grid from all the growers that were about to pop up, right? And like these are the commercial cultivations I'm talking about at this time. This is like, you know, 1,000 lighters to 250 lighters to bigger operations than just the caregiver, right? This is a state license now. So I was able to kind of see where this was going, and I started expanding more. I started doing every conference that I could, meeting anybody that I could, asking the amount of questions that I could, having hour-long conversations, chats, just trying to learn as much as I could. And then, that's kind of where everything started shifting. Like, I hijacking the conversation, but my township, you know, the rules was the township had to opt in for the ordinances, and so my township where I was at, they didn't opt in, so we chose to shut down and start up somewhere else. And I jumped into the place that I was at from 2018 till 2021, I believe, and helped start that place up. Got that going. We splitted ways, and then I was up now. Well, then I went on my own, created Faded. Faded has recently been purchased, I believe, or some new investment. There's something that happened, anyways. I'm no longer part of the Faded family, if you will. So we're back here, out here independently, and we're like I said earlier, we got to carve niches and carve lanes of our own.
Oh yeah.
And so that's where like insulating yourself with certain activities and hedging yourself and hedging your bets on certain relationships kind of gets you going into a different direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. From the grow store to the grower learning, networking, meeting these people, carving your own lane, doing your thing, and you're just building up off of that to the next best thing, and bring the like-minded people together. So
It's a tough time in the industry, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a grower, a grow store, a nutrient company, it's just tough in the industry right now. With rising prices all around us everywhere, with threat of tariffs and threats of taxes and increase this and increase that. Everybody, I kind of talked about Saganics being like this trend. There's another trend that's about to start, in my opinion, that is going to be highest quality, lowest dollar. Because we still need to create a product that is going to be very good quality, but we have to be conscious of our bottom line way more now than we ever have. So we have to create that best end product for as cheap as possible. And to do that, there's going to be new relationships carved out. There's going to be new partnerships that happen. There's just going to be certain things in order to help survivability.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think I know what grow store you're talking about. Did you work at Grow Green?
I did, yeah. I was trying not to say any names.
Why you didn't want to talk about Grow Green?
Yeah.
I know they're doing weird now.
I don't want to talk about Grow Green.
They're selling fucking dog food now. I saw.
The owner of Grow Green, I've had a good relationship with him for a very long time. I'm just trying to speak very carefully. I told you guys earlier that you can unedit this entire thing because I'm not going to say something that I don't want to say. My position was phased out for another position. There's a lot of people in the rep side of the business that understand what happened with the moving on of me and bringing in somebody else, and the place that he came from, and the issues. I'm trying to phrase this properly. There was a lot of conjecture of what was happening at that time. There was a Gavita shortage back then. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a lighting shortage for the longest time.
What year?
This would have been 2015, 14, 15, 16 maybe, somewhere in that range. There was it was like a Gavita shortage. You couldn't find them anywhere. And at that time, I was in sales, building the sales department at that store, and you could not find those lights anywhere. But we had 12 pallets of them. He constantly had exactly what we needed, so we were constantly having it. The relationship that he had with that guy eventually took my spot. Let's just leave it there.
Put it at that.
Yeah.
And then I kind of started carving my niche into the commercial space a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, Grow Green, So
if you've been there, that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
It's a different ship.
Back in the day when I lived in Ohio, I eventually started buying nutrients on Amazon. And I bought Advanced from Amazon, and it came with a Grow Green flyer and a lighter. Mm-hmm. And then I decided well, fuck, I'll just drive up there.
So you were buying from your hydro store?
From Amazon.
The Amazon seller was your hydro store, which was the back end Grow Green,
yeah.
The online version. Which, to my knowledge, that is still doing very well.
I'm sure it is.
He had a very well put together shipping team, shipping department, access to SKUs. It was very well done with what he did. He's just not my vibe. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I've gone there a few times just out of necessity. They just had stuff when my store was out or whatever. And unfortunately, I'm not trying to dog anybody, but I just never really had a great experience there. It always felt like they just didn't give a shit about me. I didn't have a fucking 100 light or 1,000 light. I've never done things at large scale. So they can tell by the questions you're asking, and everything just had a lot of dust on it, and they just did not give a shit about anything I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big.
But
it's all about the dollar at that. That's where we also, I think, spoke of this off camera, but it was we don't really care about making money. The money will come with the things that we do if we do it right. We want to get things done the right way, and that's what Sticky does, right? Sticky has this great reputation of high end stickers and products that we're using for our events. It's a high quality thing. If the money will come, it's more about survivability at this point, and if we continue to survive for longer, then you have more opportunity to make the money that you're not really worried about making in the first place. So
no, we really appreciate you saying that, and
definitely
seeing the value and some of the stuff we bring to the table.
Can you show the camera that cool stuff?
Let's see. So I'm going to try this. You guys tell me if it's a shit move or not. Can you guys see that okay?
I'm gonna assume it's so
Looking
cool.
good. And then we got the advanced nutrients. So these are for the Growers Gala. These are going to be a giveaway of some cool joints.
May 1st.
We're doing this little giveaway. It's gonna be it's a 3-joint pack, so we're gonna do some mini donuts. Like this, it's like a gram of flour and like 0.2 of rosin. So just like little dog walker donuts. Like for me, like I love the big donuts. Don't get me wrong, but first you don't want to put them out. But I get to smoking a 2-grammer. Like don't always want to put down a 2-grammer. So like little like
Smoke it through.
minis, like I think are pretty appealing. And credit to the Imprint Rolling. That was the first place that I got that type of idea off of. But yeah, this it's gonna be flour that I grew with Peninsula Gardens rosin, and then the guys over at Hyman are rolling them. So. They should be pretty cool. We're going to do, I haven't made this announcement yet, so this is fresh to this podcast, but it's going to be top 100 or first 100 through the door. We'll get one, and then we'll have some for handouts and giveaways and stuff throughout the night, too.
Cool. Very
Man,
cool.
definitely bust through that door. It's gonna be a fun event.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
looking
gonna
forward
be
to it.
fucking
Well,
sick.
this is the 4th one. I'm extremely fortunate that they have gone the way that they have. I'm extremely fortunate and grateful for all the feedback and positivity that I get out of every single event that we throw.
Good.
And then it's important, like we talked about earlier, that people get a return on investment on both sides. So like, what does that look like for the attendee, the person walking through the door? And I know the things that I like, and I'm pretty picky, so I'll throw much money at something to make it nice.
Right.
So that way it's memorable and somebody has a good experience from it. That way I know kind of the next time they're gonna be like, damn, I need to get there. FOMO is real, and building FOMO and playing off of it is like an extremely useful marketing tactic.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, I guess one other thing that's cool, advanced nutrients. I used to run that shit a long time ago, and it's cool to hear that name again. And I know we've talked before that they have like a new salt composition that'll be good for large scale metric grows and stuff.
Yep.
And I'd like you to kind of run us through that. And
So let's even back up a little bit further than that. Like I was an advanced nutrients user for those 8 years that I was running Rockwool. Like I ran advanced for a very long time. I ran
the
a lot.
whole line.
No, not the whole line, but there's a lot of additives that I was.
Yeah.
But again, ask yourself why.
Right.
And if I couldn't answer that at one point, if I couldn't answer the question, why am I using that product? That was the product I stopped using. Yeah. And I did make a shift over to Canna. And I started running Canna from like 2016, 17-ish until like up to recently. Okay. And I'll still run some Canna from time to time. I think they have a very clean, good product. However, it's a little bit more pricey than most of the products that are on the market. So you have to be kind of selective on how you use it. I was able to tailor a pretty good recipe to that. But the thing that got me away from advanced nutrients was like during that period, I started getting smarter as a cultivator, and I'm starting to be like more of a director type or a lead cultivator. Like there's certain marketing tactics that weren't working on me anymore, and I could see past labeling. And that's where like I kind of like started steering away from the advanced, is like that whole cartoony kind of like you need 13 bottles. Like it just wasn't for me. And for many years, they tried to get me to jump back on, and I was kind of hesitant to, where I was still carving my niche out and like creating all my procedures and everything that I'm doing in commercial cultivation to become efficient and as effective as possible now. So like I didn't maybe necessarily have the time for it then, but their marketing strategy wasn't something that was attractive to me. Then they sat me down. This is probably about it's April. So yeah, about 6 months ago, they sat me down and like they brought the new generation that's going to be hitting the shelves pretty soon. They showed me the marketing. They showed me their approach to it, and I said, this is something that I can get behind. It's simplified. It's easy. It's not marketed in your face trying to sell you something. It's like, hey, this is what it is. This is who we are, and this is the quality and the value that we can bring back to you. Not, hey, there's big boob girl on the cover of Wet Betty, and like it just the shift in culture was something more that I could get behind. And I've sat in meetings with them too, and I said, look, like Mike's got a big bud sitting behind him on all of the meetings, and I said one day, I said, like that right there is the reason I didn't join Advanced. And the licensed cultivators, guys that are heads of cultivations, that are decision makers, that are like serious about this, that are going to take this industry into the future, they're not fooled by marketing anymore either. They are fooled by results. And I don't want to say fooled. They're driven by results, right? And like having that results-based approach versus marketing strategy seems to be something more where we were able to mesh together, mix together, and find something that fit. So long story short, yes, now I'm with the company, and yes, there is a powdered line. So the Cultivator series is a 3-part powder that's very similar to other 3-parts that are on the market at a reasonable price that creates very good value throughout the garden. Like I'm a big proponent of it. And this isn't just me talking from a company standpoint or with a biasy. This is me looking at cents per gallon, understanding what the inputs are, understanding what my output is. And with some of the stuff that I'm able to play with that is unreleased yet, or was able to play with anyways, I was seeing massive increases in terpene percentage, in trichome density, in stalk thickness, in canopy lushness. Like I saw so much tangible evidence that there was like something more behind what's coming than what you might see. Like just experimenting with something else. I don't know where I was going with that point, but
No, it's all good.
you know what I mean.
So it's a 3-part powder. Is that like a A and a B and like a bloom booster?
Yeah, so it's a grow base bloom. So it's like it's very similar to your other 3 parts that are on the market. That is a grow and a bloom, and then the PK part, right? Or the calcium nitrate. So yeah, we have that powder, but we're still pushing like our biostims. So some of our additives, we're not pushing necessarily all of our additives, or maybe some people are. And if somebody wants them, then sure, I'm going to facilitate that for them. But I'm going to be conscious of their cost per gallon and try to present something that is reasonable, but that is also pushing for the highest quality possible. Some people, all they care about is the cost per gallon. That's it. Give me the lowest cost per gallon. That's all I want. There's other people that are okay with spending a little bit more to get a little bit more out of their product, right? The 2% increase is a massive increase at the end of the day. Right. And if you can increase maybe a couple $1,000s a run for an additive, but yet we just did a 2% increase on a 48 light room, like that's a massive return on investment. For sure. There's ways to kind of navigate justifying costs for certain things, but there's certain products that are still good for certain reasons of growing, right? But other people, like you got to consider into something else is like, why do I grow? Do I grow for quality? Do I grow for quantity? Do I grow for hash? Do I grow for rosin? Do I grow for biomass, right? Like what is your end game? And finding that out, then you can tailor a solution of a nutrient program that fits for you. But that's like the bottom of the barrel, right? Like we talked about first, that's the nutrients the environment's right here. And then you got to have your genetics that are going to be able to produce in those environments. And then you're going to have other factors like lighting and maybe some other like little things that are involved. But then the nutrients come in with that as well, right? And like, you can grow a plant in 4 different rooms using the exact same methods and have 4 different results, just based on slight factors throughout a grow, throughout other people's facilities. Or you can go from grow room to grow room. Even you can go from corner of a room to a different corner of a room, and a plant's going to react different just based on environmental factors or other factors that might be playing a part in where they are within that room. That make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So with that 3-part, are you running CalMag with it? And then also, what boosters do you recommend with the 3-part?
So that Cultivator series, you don't need necessarily CalMag. We do recommend running with RO, running at roughly like a 2.8 EC on it. And then we have a few, like we still recommend like a different like the PK boost, something like a Big Bud. We still recommend my go-to would be Bud Factor X. It's a little bit more pricey, but it's justified based on what it's doing to the plant to get the results that we're looking for. So Bud Factor X is, and I'm sorry if I get these words wrong, is derived from chitin, which creates chitinase, I believe it is. Sorry, again, there's chitin, chitinase, and chitosan. I may be mixing these up, but the end game is basically a derived product from crustacean shells and insects, and that creates the chitin because those are the things that attack the plants, think the plants are under attack, so they want to produce more resin, more trichomes, more stickiness in order to help fight against those bugs that they don't want on there. So we're just basically taking that bug landing on plant, creating response, and putting that in a liquid form where you can foiler that, or you can do it as a root drench, and not necessarily a root drench, but as an additive within your program, and elicit the response that you're looking for like guys that are looking for more hash, right, or higher terpene production, stuff like that. Now, the 8th generation that's going to be coming out is going to have some products that are simplified. So there's going to be some products that are like multiple products in one bottle. And then there's going to be some products that are brand new. The brand new product is called SB1 that we're going to be introducing. And I'm pretty sure I can talk pretty freely about this, but it's a nanocarb technology. So it's basically a carbohydrate, or it's a high Brix product. It's going to increase Brix production within your plant, which also drives higher terpene percentages, more resin production, and honestly, just overall plant health. Like, you get a better, healthier looking plant. I was running this at 3 mils a gallon 3 times a week, which is not going to even be the recommended dose. And we were still seeing like a 30 to 50% increase in terpene production from COA to COA. That's based on the same strain. And it was undeniable. The smells, like I don't mean to toot my own horn, but recently I've been growing good weed. I can walk up to the building and smell the weed. Now when I walk up to the building, I'm like, damn, that's a different smell. Right, that like I'd noticed that little bit of a change. And it's also important when you're doing new things and trying new things to only do one thing at a time, right? You can't change 4 different factors and be like, that's the one reason, right? Yeah. You change one thing once and then you try it again or try something else on another run. So my one thing was changing from Canna Boost, 3 mils a gallon 3 times a week, to SB1, 3 mils a gallon 3 times a week. And that's what I saw in production from off of it.
Literal data, straight numbers, and you actually physically see your change netted that outcome. You're like, yeah, you can't make this up.
And I had plenty of COAs of that strain to look back and try to comb through to see if I had any that produced at 3.7 terps, and none of them did. Like, I think I was getting like 1.8 to 2.1 on average, and they went up to 3.7. So it was a wild jump.
That's cool.
That's fucking nuts. Yeah. You said that's called what?
That's the SB1. So most of these 8th gen products, unfortunately, aren't going to be available at the grow store, at least anytime soon. They're going to be directly for licensed cultivations. And that's the first wave of it anyways. Once the production then increases and production ability increases, then it might be starting to see like in storefronts and stuff like that.
Cool. I might have to get a little sample pack of those boys.
That I might be able to help you with.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's go. And this is the one that's upcoming.
This is upcoming, yeah. And it's a liquid. Yeah, so these are liquid additives that are paired with a powder base. And then when the 8th gen fully drops, it's just going to be a prime and push powder. It's not going to be a 3-part powder. It's just the 2 ran at different ratios, increasing different other type of additives to bring the levels that we're looking for.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. So you run that with your new lights.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Another question I have: can all of those new, you said they're 8th generation products? Mm-hmm. Can those be run through dosatrons?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're still testing all this, but there's a really good grow. He's got like 10 or 11 rooms. I want to say they're like 60 to 70 lights per room. They're out in the Palm Desert in California. They go by High Creations. The guy Chris over there, he's like the lead R&D for Advanced. So he's running everything through dosatrons, through dosers, trying in different variables. He's harvesting once a week, like sometimes twice a week based on what week it is. But that's like, when I say you try one thing at a time, think about you can try one thing at a time, but having results 10 weeks in a row, right? That's 10 different things that you're trying. So he's able to try at different doses. He's able to try at more higher concentrations, stock concentrations, batch concentrations, injections. Like, he's able to experiment on all the different ranges. And then that's our job on the back end, is to build the procedures behind it that allow for the best outcome. Cool. And that's kind of what we're in the process of now. So that was like another piece of my hybrid role with Advance, is that I'm doing R&D, and then I was reporting my results, and then all those results being compiled to put together the best SOP for licensed cultivation, so they can just get the product, get the procedure, and have everything that they need instantaneously. There's no combing through or trying to find something. Everything is very simple right out in front of them.
So, and no issues with the dosatrons?
Nothing. Yeah, we haven't really come across any issues yet. Filter changes are roughly still on the same regiment that they've been on before at my facility. We were doing changing about roughly bi-weekly or so. They're run, I think, weekly filter changes, and they're seeing no difference in their microns of their filters.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know what micron filters they're using in line?
I don't remember.
I think like 140 is kind of what I got going on.
I think it's it's like the beige color ones, if I remember.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Mine are like metal. Just like Schedule 80.
Yeah. Well,
Pain in the ass.
they're necessary though. You do it. There's some screening that has to happen, and like certain sediment that you want to get to not settle through. The biggest thing about it is they're very soluble powders. This is the Cultivator series and what's coming. They're very soluble. We're not seeing drip stakes clog. And that's like one of the bigger things too, is like making sure and ensuring that we're having procedures that are not clogging drip stakes, because that can just create massive pain in the asses and higher labor costs, and like everything has an outcome, and everything affects everything within a grow, right? There's the big wheel. Sure, it might be a 120 spoke wheel, but each one of those spokes are important, and one isn't supporting another. Then you watch just one thing at a time kind of just unravel.
Yeah.
Do you know, is he using just like Netafim drippers, or what is he got going on?
Yeah, I think he did some NFM. He was doing it's kind of a newer brand, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think it's more like a spray versus a drip. Okay. So it's like a faster, more direct feed. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to quote it and be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because I have the Netafim drippers, but mine are, I think, 10.6 gallon per hour, so the highest flow rate.
Yeah.
Just because I don't run a batch tank, which was a mistake on construction, but I'm past that point now.
No, it depends on your situation.
Yeah, so I need that higher flow rate per table to do zoned irrigations.
Yeah.
And so like I just put them all on the 10.6, and so for each 30-second irrigation, that's like 330 ml.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little micro irrigation or whatever.
We were doing the 6.6s, and we were running we had like 2 per pot in a 3-gallon pot, like dual spray, and we would set a room off. It would get about 1,800 mils total, because we didn't crop steer. We used a media that was a little bit more peat based, so it's 2 per from Royal Gold.
Yeah.
It just has a little bit more higher field capacity, so it's got a little bit more more carrying power with moisture. It doesn't necessarily dry back as fast as something more fibrous or like a rock wool. So we were able to feed in the morning and then come back the next day and they'd be ready to be fed again. It wasn't like feed and then doing multiple P2s throughout the day, right? Like our irrigation wasn't necessarily set up for it, or I mean, like we didn't have batch tanks, right? So we couldn't. That's the first restriction to doing such a thing. And then our controller board was just all jacked up, and I never trusted it. I never trusted like getting the right dosing out of the nutrient bottles that I was getting out of like doing it by hand.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'd mix a
way.
5-gallon bucket and check
it.
the EC. I'd mix the thing based on the system, and it'd be like 1 point off. I'm like, the hell is going on here? So,
Jake from Fear of Boof actually mentioned that. I asked him if he was doing dosatrons, and he's like, no, those things are fucking inaccurate. I'm like,
like dosatron is it's more hobbyist. Like it definitely has its way in commercial cultivation, but in my opinion, there's higher end systems, but they're more costly too. So it's like, where are you going to apply your budget, or how are you going to reinvest back into the business?
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of people really like the agrotech stuff.
I was a big fan of agrotech. Like they got good product, they have great service. You just got to make sure that your stuff is installed properly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, it's big. Like it's a huge part that you can't overlook.
Yeah, I'll bite you in the ass if you don't.
Yeah, and I guess they probably might not want to, like, similar to like air conditioners and other stuff, if you don't have like a certified guy put it in, it might not be warranted.
Well, they'll still take care of you. They have very good customer service. They're a constant supporter of my events too. So I have nothing but good to say about them. But yeah, they have very good customer service, and they have customization and customability where like if you bring an idea to them, they can, and it works within their system. They're able to be flexible with those ideas.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know this is kind of like a derail or whatever, but I was
Take
just
me down the
wondering-
rail.
Yeah, do it. I was thinking, what was the first time smoking weed like for you?
I was 15 years old.
Okay.
I went to Howell High School.
Oh, all right.
This is let's see, if I was 15, this would be the year 2000. So just after Y2K.
Nice.
The end of the world almost.
Yeah, end of the
Allegedly.
world. That was a fun time. My dad's like, I think we might talk about this, but my dad was like super into computers.
Okay.
Thought the world was ending. He wouldn't let me go to Metallica concert that night. It was like Metallica and Kid Rock, Ted Nugent. Like there was like a bunch of dudes there. Like, and this is
would've been
like
a banger.
the year 2000, right?
Yeah.
On New Year's at the Silverdome.
Going hard.
I'm like, I want to go, and he's like, the world's gonna end. I'm like,
Oh my.
So might as well be there.
and
you know?
yeah,
for
it
real,
didn't
right?
end. We're still here. So the year 2000, the first time was like literally in a metal pipe, like a real pipe, like yeah, with like tin, like my dude put tin foil in it, right, to pop the bowl, and then we smoked in the woods outside the football game.
Nice.
I didn't get high.
Okay.
Got anxiety instead.
No, nothing. I know. Like, it was just like a nothing thing. Like I was like, all right, this is whatever. And then the next time, my neighbor and I got off the bus, and he's like, oh, dude, I got this bag, and we were ninth grade. And so I went over to his house, and he rolled a Post-it note joint. Like literally
with
with
the
the Post-it,
adhesive?
Yeah,
dude,
say
with the Post-it
smoking
note.
an adhesive
Like,
pack, bro.
that was the first one, and like
Sticky
that
terps.
one got like I got ripped. Like I
bet.
was like, oh my, I was gone, man. Like it was one of those like past high school high kind of things. It was like I remember calling up one of my friends and being like, dude, I think I'm fucking dying. I'm dying. Like call the cops. They're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I smoked weed. I'm dying. He's like, dude, you're fine. Like chill the fuck out. Go to sleep.
Probably that adhesive getting to the
Dude,
brain cells.
3M high terp, bro. Fucking straight
Oh,
sticky.
it's crazy.
Not a good one either.
So this is like the year 2000. This is brick weed.
Yeah, I was just
This
gonna
is
ask what the quality of it.
This was not chronic weed. This was brick. This was brown seed stems, like
with
yeah.
adhesive.
with adhesive. Yeah,
Give it that boost, that terp boost.
man. Like, oh, that was
Worse than Disty.
that was the quite the period. Like, we could go on for a while about that period of my life, but it was a couple of years later, maybe a year later, 2002, 2003, something like that, where I actually had my first chronic, and it was blueberry. And like I'm almost certain it was like the original DJ Shore blueberry,
Yeah, I was just
because,
gonna
just
ask.
because the characteristics of it, like it literally had like a blue shade. I'd never seen anything like that. It had like this blue shade to it almost, and it was a blueberry. Like it was no fucking doubt. And this is like I'm talking early 2000s, so 2001, 2, somewhere around there. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that strain. And I was like, I'm never smoking that shit ever again. Like,
No bricks.
I am stuck on it.
Yeah.
And I have been ever since. And like, I think the law, like, I don't think I'll get in trouble for saying this, but the time is expired or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy an ounce, a $400 ounce, and we'd be selling grams for $25 just so we could smoke whatever's left over. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
that way we could have good smoke always. And like it was from that point on that I always had this constant search for like the best weed, and that's what brought me in like 2009, where I was like, okay, I'm not like finding it like what I want, but I have an opportunity to do it myself. And I didn't really do it until 2016, so I went hard on it before I was able to get there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of around the same time I found dank for the first time, and it was I think $420 an ounce. I had to sell it at 25 a gram, and everybody thought I was a fucking scam artist. But I was like, dude, like I gotta.
But they came and bought it.
Yeah. No, it was fire. Yeah, that's hilarious.
No, it was good. It was a good time too. It was I'm glad that I was able to live through the period of seeing brick weed, and like I bring these kids in now to like work, right? Like they're like in their mid 20s or something like that, and they've like never seen like brick weed. I'm like, what?
You just ruined
Yeah.
their day.
Like, I can't. Like, wait, you were born when? Like,
We smoked hay. Y'all
Dude.
smoked hay with
Dude, it was-
seeds, bro.
I got this this weed from this dude in like downtown Cleveland in the hood this one time. And it was like $800 a pound. And I was like, oh shit, I'm about to be rich. I'm about to tax everybody, whatever. I sold some. And then like later on, someone's like, bro, you still got that hailstorm? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh yeah, that shit you gave us, we call it hailstorm because when you break it up, it just hails seeds out of it. And I was just like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, bro. But they didn't, they didn't.
that sounds
care.
right.
Yeah,
How
it
much
was
did
just-
you sell that for?
I feel like it was probably like 100 a zip.
Yeah.
So like I did well, but
Shit, we used to buy that shit for like 30 and 8 still back then.
yeah, 25,
25, 30 and
20 if
yeah.
you're cutting fucking deals.
Or if you knew somebody that was like the number one that didn't just buy an ounce from the guy that got it from the guy
Yeah.
that had the pound that got it from the guy that had 10 pounds.
Yep.
It depended how far down the line you got there.
Yeah, it was crazy because I had
Hailstorm.
I had that
Oh
shit,
my
and there was a bunch of
God.
other regs mixed in there throughout the years. That was just like one. I never bought any more from him because that shit almost ended my career because people fucking hated all those stems and seeds. But
No way.
yeah, dude. So at this time, I also had the dank, and so the dank was 25 for a gram, and then the regs was 20 for an eighth. And so people were like, "What, you think I'm a dumbass? I'm gonna buy this fucking dank?" And yeah, but we all know where the market's at now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can.
Brick weed.
We can all look back and just be grateful where we came from.
Yeah, no, it's
We
it's
get to
all-
smoke the grapes
Fuck
now.
it. We're
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah, we're blessed now.
Yeah.
We don't have to like worry about cops. Like that's the other
Right.
thing. Like
Paranoia
during
as
that
well.
period of time, dude, I busted like 4 different times during that
Yeah.
period. Like sometimes for like a couple roaches in an ashtray. I'm like, fuck.
And that was here in Michigan.
Oh yeah, Livingston County, bro. Like Livingston County is bad,
Livingston
bro.
County.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, bro.
and this
That's
is
where
like
Howell is?
again early 2000s. Yeah.
Oh, so they hated that shit.
Oh yeah, weed was the devil.
devil.
The
Yeah,
devil.
bro.
Yeah,
Fuck
bro.
yeah.
Like,
So that brings me to like another kind of question. So my dad growing up thought that like everyone who smoked weed was a bad person.
Yeah.
And so, since then things have changed. He's seen that I'm not a complete scumbag and, has some faith in me or whatever. But how did your parents feel about weed
oh,
growing
they
up?
didn't. Yeah, they did not approve.
Yeah, 'cause they were
No,
in that
no,
county, so
not
they
at
fit the...
Not even that they were in that county. Like my parents are, I would say, pretty liberal for being in that county. But yeah, it was still, we didn't fly. Like my cousins smoked. Everybody knew my cousins would smoke, and like eventually, I would start. Me and my brother would start going out with my cousins and start smoking with them. Right, like on Thanksgiving or like somebody's birthday or something like that. You
Walk
get the
around the
cousins that
block.
have to go up to the party store. Join that crew. But yeah, they did not approve, and then he did not approve of me having a safe in my room.
Yep, I had one of those
Yeah,
too.
yeah, he
Man.
did not approve it. And then he found the key, like the hidden key. He just went through all my shit and found it or whatever. And then I had like just bought an ounce, and it was all like pre-packaged into the fucking grams already because like
Ready
I
to
wanted to
go.
know exactly how much I was gonna make off of it to get the money back so I could do it
Do it
again.
again.
Yeah, he
Run the
took all
game.
that. I'm like, damn it.
Oh, they text.
Yeah. And now he's like,
Confiscation.
now he hits me up for weed.
Yeah, hey,
Oh, the
so
tables
it
have
is.
turned.
Yeah, how things have shifted.
Look at this now.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, look at the generation they grew up into, right? Like, I get it, and the shit's you don't want to see your kids go to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They just
you're
want
trying
the
to
cool
always,
stuff to happen for you, and that wouldn't be fun.
yeah, you're always trying to provide the best for them.
And they didn't think like we'd take it as far as we did. They probably thought we were just getting high and then just be a degenerate. And,
Yeah, now look at us. We built careers out of it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah, build a
So
multi-billion-dollar industry just in this state.
yeah.
crazy. Oh yeah, Michigan is one of the best Midwest states.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. We're blessed to live the life we do.
Except for the weather.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
that's why we grow inside.
Yeah,
we get
dude,
to
yeah.
beautiful and sunny every day when I go to work.
This is true. This is true. There's definitely a lot of benefits to look at. We get to grow weed. We get to go to work and grow weed. Like
Right.
that in itself, that in itself should not create a toxic environment. And unfortunately, there's still a fuck ton of toxic environments within the industry.
Humans are the problem.
Humans are the problem. Yeah. And no, I'm not talking
We're
like
the root aphids.
I'm talking like leadership humans, not
Yeah.
like the guys up top. I'm not talking about the guys that come in and grind it out every day. I'm talking about
Right.
the guys that are barking down the orders of those guys and treating them unhuman.
Right.
Like bro, like nobody wants to go to work and have anxiety. So why are you creating an environment that is like thriving in an anxiety high situation?
I think it's a power thing and like an ego thing. Like the people that act that way, I feel are relatively new to power and they feel like it brings them happiness or contentment to, tell others what to do or feel control.
What is ego? Ego is insecurity.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, and like if you're bringing ego in, you're in, what are you insecure about? What are you hiding?
Yeah,
and you can typically tell those people out too, just by the way they talk, because they're the guys that like continue to talk and don't let you get a word in, or continue to talk in those silences because they don't want to be found out. Like it's easy to pick up on that type of character if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, and the cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, no question. And like in like minds, levitate together, right?
Absolutely.
Like guys that are in it for the right reasons, guys that bring the right attitudes to the industry every day. Like that's the kind of people that I want to be around.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be around Mr. Toxic. Why didn't I get a free ticket?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's like
I'm like, dude, like, hey, we should have reached out like a month and a half ago when I was announcing tickets.
Right.
Right.
Sorry,
Simple as
that
that.
we just shifted into events, but
Right,
No, it's all
yeah.
good.
the growth is surpassed.
Oh man. Yeah.
But I've worked in a lot of those toxic environments, and toxic grows. Like, it's not fun, man. Like, like driving into work, having anxiety, getting there, seeing just the car of the person that drives it, and then you're off for the entire day, and then you're miserable, you hate life, and you're growing weed.
Right.
There's a synergy between good energy and plants, and plant energy, and like when you're bringing that to it, your plants are never going to respond in a positive way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially with people too. It's like you're not gonna stress out the person who's also helping out the plant. They all got to be on the same spectrum.
Yeah, you want them to have positive energy, to be touching the plants with positive energy.
Yeah.
Like
Makes
it's a hippie, whatever you want to call it. But there is a connection between plants and humans, and like it's been proven. There's books that have been written about it. The Hidden Life of Plants. So this, like in this book, the guy that created the lie detector hooked up the lie detector to a plant, ended up going home for the night, had an argument with his wife, went back into work the next day, and during that argument, the plant seismograph was like going off. So there was like something else going there. So he continued to test it. And he put two of the exact same plants into a room. He had 12 students like draw straws. Whoever got the shortest straw came back at midnight, destroyed one of the plants, like just beat the shit out of it and ended up killing it, leaving the other one just as it is. Next day, puts the seismograph back to the polygraph back to the alive plant and brings each kid in individually. And when that kid walks in, that seismograph went.
Damn.
So tell me that there's not an energy between it. Like I've spoke about this in other podcasts. I went through a hard time in my life, and I was just starting to grow, and the plants every day that I walked in just looked like shit. Like every day they were sad, they were droopy. I could not get them to turn around and pray. I've had the perfect everything around them, and I just could not get it to go. Like this for like 3-4 weeks, and then I finally had a good day, and like the dude that was working with me, like I could probably ask him and he'd probably remember. I finally had a good day, and I went into work that day, and for the first time all those plants were praying. So like tell me that there isn't some sort of synergy between what's going on. So bringing positive synergy and to that to the plants like brings a better performance of the plants. Like we talked about the life cycle of insects earlier.
Right.
Like plants have been around for billions of years longer than we have. So they have evolved way past our ability to even comprehend.
For sure.
Like if anything, we're slaves of the plants, not the other way around. Like
Right.
they control us, and they talk to us. We just got to listen.
For sure.
Yeah, without them, we're really nothing.
We're not, right? Because we got to breathe.
Yeah.
Like that
100%.
for number one, and then
This is why I don't grow weed because, man, oh my God, my my plants would probably be just as angry at me. They're like, "Yo, no, we're not turning up for you, bro."
So speaking of all that, what was it like going from like a caregiver perspective into metric?
fortunately, I had like I had already been like really kind of carving my way into this market, like behind the scenes, like working up to it, the years of licensing coming, training myself, perpetually growing. My 40 lighter, I was able to harvest every other week there, and then it'd be like a week skip every once in a while, but it was 4 cycles always going on. So I was able to learn a lot during those periods. So paired that with going to Colorado a lot more, being involved in the Do Grow show, meeting growers out there that are licensed growers that already had success, learning from them, learning like kind of as being able to ask some questions and tailor my game a little bit. And then when I left my 40 lighter, I went into a position at High Life Farms, which I was just like bottom grow tech, and I worked there for 3 months. But it honed a lot of my other like little skills. You know what I mean? Like there was like just a few inconsistencies and things that could have been tidied up and more efficient. And that's what it kind of trained me and got me to. So it was an easy kind of transition into the market.
Yo, do you mind if I load up a dab on this thing?
Go on.
And then being able to be in the building that I was in after that, starting with a blank slate, basically, we created procedures from the ground up. It created confidence in me. You know, this was not now then the second grow that I had created from the ground. Well, like he had the infrastructure, but like creating the procedures and like building that from the ground up. Actually, this was been the third time I had done that by then, which made the fourth time, the time of Faded where I just left, even like you keep getting a little bit better in learning from your past mistakes and becoming more efficient with equipment and with other things that you can only do at startup. So like all those were able to kind of mold me to what got me into the market, into that transition. You know, going to the expos aren't what they used to be. They don't get as busy. They're not as popular. I guess that'd be the same thing. Like BizCon, like year after year, you're starting to see the walls kind of shrink in, right? They're getting less vendors and less sponsorships. Those were very useful for me between the years like 2015 and 2019. Like there was good speakers, there was good people to learn from. I remember Scott from, I think it was Rare Dank, like had a speech at one of them, and like it transformed my dry and cure game. Like I didn't realize the importance that was stressed on it until I listened to him talk like for an hour and a half just on drying and curing.
What were you doing before that, and what did you do after?
Before it, I didn't really even look at it. I just fucking cut my plants down, hung them, and just walked away, and they'd be ready to be trimmed in 7 days. You know, then
super low constant dehu.
It was probably like, I was probably sitting like 40% humidity, so it was super dry and way too fast, and it was probably sitting just at room temperature, whatever that might have been for that period of the year, you know. And then actually caring about it, dumping AC into the room to make sure that I was able to hit certain parameters and like getting that's what allowed my flower to go from when I harvested, it still looked the same as when it harvested. You know what I mean? Like it didn't lose any of that degradation during that period. So it was picking up on all those little cues and learning from people like that, spending the times at the conferences, spending the money to go to the conferences, and learning kind of like that way was another way that kind of allowed me to transition pretty easy.
So it was a pretty smooth transition for you then?
Yeah, and you know, I'm a perfectionist. Like I want everything perfect. Like you guys, it shows that you're the same way with just some of the designs and some of the work that you guys put in. Like there's just, it has to be done a certain way. It has to be done properly, complete to completion. Like there's just certain things that have to be done. And that has allowed me to become like the better grower that I am, because I don't cut corners, right? Like cutting corners drives me crazy. Like I'll go the long way around to make sure that it's done the right way the first time, right? Or like even when it comes to like treating people, right? Like making sure that they know that they have value, especially my employees, right? Like making sure that they have value in the situations that they walk into, and teaching them as much as I can too, and creating that positive environment. Forgot where I was going with all that, but
executing on a high level.
Yeah, just no metric. It was like doing shit in metric. But like, yeah, that makes sense. And what I've found in life is when you try to take a shortcut, you end up having to redo it anyway. Yeah. So it just takes longer, and you might as well just put the time and the energy in the first time and
get it done right. Yeah, and like not cheaping out. Yeah. Like sometimes
buy once, cry once.
Exactly. Spend a little bit more, get it done right the first time. Don't put a constant band-aids over it, a solution that is never gonna be fixed by a band-aid. Like it's just opening and getting wider and wider.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's everything in life, you know. You can try to save some money or whatever, but you end up paying 3 times when you take that path.
Yeah.
Painful.
So like, you know, obviously you've pushed really hard and achieved quite a bit so far. What what drives you to keep like pushing higher and higher? You know, a lot of people are cool with the bare minimum in life, and obviously you're not.
I don't know what drives me. That's a fantastic question, and I think this is coming up here soon. But I'm pretty sure I was raised a third. I feel like a third between my family, and my grandma played a part in that one third. She grew up in New York during the Great Depression, like during the worst periods of history. Maybe not the worst. Yeah, well, some of the worst periods in history, because she lived through World War II. She lived through all that. Like, she was hardened, and she taught us how to do things right the first time, and not do double down and not do double work. Like, we would have to stack wood. Me and my brother here, we were at like 5 and 8, like stacking wood with these massive wood piles. But if you took a log from the bottom or the middle, whew, she would tell you about it. You put that down, go right to the top, and get the easy one first, and work. It is a work smarter, not harder kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And then that pushed the perfectionism part of me too.
Nice. Yeah, I'm always curious because, like, you know, I work really hard and I push further and further, and I'm always trying to be better, and I've just wondered, like, why.
And I've also asked my question, not only why, but like what is enough.
Yeah.
And like that I can't answer that question yet.
I agree.
Like, it's hard. Like,
Can always be better.
it not even necessarily always be better. Like, I got it pretty good. I'm pretty happy with what I have. But like, at what point can I be like, all right, now what?
Yeah.
Now
This is
what do I do?
optimize. What's the
Right.
next thing to?
My
level
kids
up
are
on?
like nearly. Well, my daughter's a teenager. My son's nearly a teenager. They're like number one, right? Like, being able to save up so that way when they graduate, maybe I'm like able to start taking some stuff off, right? Like,
Right.
I got 10 more years before my son graduates, and then my kids are out of school. I'll be just about to turn 50. I'll be in a, like, so I've realized between now and then to work as hard as I can.
Yeah.
So that way, hopefully when I get past that point, then I don't got to worry about Michigan winters anymore. Like,
Right.
you know, I can go somewhere where I want to be and like kind of choose my own path. That's always been my thing too, is like, I've never wanted to be a 9 to 5 or like,
Right.
like me going to be an accountant. Sure. I was the number one in my class by far, and I'm great with numbers, and it still drives me today. But, be sitting behind a desk from 9 to 5, like a cubicle or something like that, like running numbers all day. Like, I don't think I could. Yeah, exactly. I'd rather carve my own path, figure out my own lane, and innovate as much as I can.
It's a great drive, man. You know, you got the fan pushing, and then, like you said, you don't want the monotony of a typical 9 to 5 pencil pushing.
And I want to go on vacations, and I'll be able to afford to go on vacations. I'll be able to take my kids on vacations, right? Like, let them enjoy experiences. That's another thing that drives me. Like, I don't, like, we stopped like buying presents at Christmas because everything ended up in a garage sale. We started buying experiences, right?
Yeah.
We buy
You remember
vacations.
that.
We go,
Enjoy that.
yeah, exactly. Things that we can remember, we can have pictures of, we can look back on. Not something that's tangible that gets thrown in a garage sale in 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Can you think on like a time in your life, like, did you always have this drive, or was there like something in your life that shifted where you can see like an incremental boost in that drive or that push?
I dropped out of high school in 9th grade, like just after 9th grade, and went to night school because like the day school just didn't fit me and like fit who I was or what I did. Like, and my daughter does the same thing now. Like, she's kind of like me. She's in online school now. Like, but that typical mold of like that. I don't want to say fake, but like that Abercrombie and Fitch kind of like, at least that was my high school days, right? Like that Abercrombie and Fitch kind of person, like
Right.
that just wasn't necessarily my path. Like, I definitely went down the weed path, and like I was starting to, after I smoked that time in 9th grade, like I didn't stop. Like, it was after that, I haven't
Life-changer.
stopped since.
Yeah.
Like, I think I stopped for 6 months for a probation period at one point, but that was not the only time I was on probation, and that was the only time that I've quit. So.
Powerful plan, yes.
Yeah, so sorry, where was I going? What was
I think
the
we were talking about when you like, if you notice like an increase in your drive.
I constantly worked right back then. So that back then I worked at ABC Warehouse when I was 17 years old, and I became a manager of the small appliance department before I even turned 18.
Sweet.
And I was like writing numbers that the guys that were selling TVs were writing, and I was just selling computers and vacuums and telephones. Not cell phone, telephones.
Yeah.
Like, cordless.
Nice.
So like I kind of knew that I always had this drive to make money, and like that I was not at that point, but at some point I realized that I would likely be good at most things that I do if I put my mind to it. Like not necessarily, I'm not like the best athlete. It's not like I can go and fucking be a baseball player. Or like I wouldn't be able to do that. But like things that I can put my mind to, like growing a plant, like simplifying a procedure to its core, like those types of things. Like that's where I can thrive, and that's where I kind of learned that I would kind of probably be good at anything that I do. But what do I want to apply my strengths to? And honestly, like I didn't know it was going to be weed until probably 2016, 17. From like 2010 to 12, I played poker professionally. And like that's what like drove my income back then. Like I freshly married. My daughter was born in 2010. I was growing shitty weed in my shed, and I was playing poker at night. My wife would work during the day. I'd play poker at night, and that's what drove my piece of my income.
That is G as fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I played poker and I had some fantastic trainers or mentors, because the guys that like look up to, like that I mentored under, they invested in me. They saw that I had an ability, so they like and back then I didn't have anything. Like we just bought a house for like 50 grand during the crisis in like 2009, right when the housing market was what it was at an all-time low, right? Like that was all we could really afford back then, was a fucking payment for $400 a month, right? Like that's where we came from. But these guys saw potential in me, and they invested in me, so I didn't have to gamble with my own money. I was gambling with their money, but we'd get to a point and we'd have a split of profits. But these guys, like, and they were just a year older than me. Like some of them, or one of the dudes went to high school, like he was a sophomore where I was a freshman. So I knew who he was. So it wasn't like he was like some old guy or anything like that. These are just like extremely smart mathematicians that understand value, implied value, equity, and like playing cards in a way that you're mathematically more likely to be profitable than not, and understanding expected value and estimated value and all. Like we had one hand where we sat down. It took us a week to solve the math problem. It was like I had a pair of sevens on the button or something like that, and there's a lot of betting in front of me, and I only had $100, and there's already $150 in the pot. Like, what's the best move for me? I haven't put anything in yet, and we like have to go through a scenario for each player and every outcome that could be for each player based on what that player, who that player was, what their typical range would be. Like you just learn so much. We filled like 10 pages of a notebook over the course of a week to solve this problem, and then
Human
we finally
algorithm
got it.
right there. You're literally configuring like
Yeah.
R&D, test it, and then no, this isn't the scenario.
And then you would like, so ranges are like, you think about it with any type of scenario, what a range could be, right? You have ranges. This conversation could have a range of me exploding out of this room all pissed off, or us being really happy and smoking a joint when it's all done. Like that's typically like the entire range, and anything in between that range could happen. Same thing applies to cards, right? Your range is gonna change based on what you did, right? So you're gonna fold. You're not gonna fold aces. Right, you're going to likely raise aces, so that's in that range, right? So you create the range, you create the three possible outcomes of fold, bet, raise, and then you create math problems. You get you put these things into calculators, they'll give you a percentage, and you take that percentage and you make an algebraic expression, and you go to town.
You execute on it. You already compile all the potential things that can happen.
But the light bulb that went off when we were done was like, holy shit. Look at how profitable you are by going all in every single time in this position. And like, it was like, but learning that, so learning to be more analytic, right? And like reading more into things than just what's in front of you. And then the other piece they taught was the human piece. Right. Like I remember you call them poker sweats when you go and like multiple, like me and my buddy would go, or the investor would go, we play poker. We'd play against each other. Like if we were in hands together, we would like literally go against each other, but we sat at the same table and you play together for a couple hours. Then you just talk about what happened forever or throughout that. And then you learn from hand histories and stuff like that. So we sat down at a table once and played ours a couple hours, went back to his place, and he started talking. He's like, so what did you know about the player that was in seat 3? And like, I gave him everything that I could. He's like, well, I noticed when he walked in the room, everybody knew who he was. Everybody had been saying, "Oh, dude, I haven't seen you in so long." So what that tells me is he was likely not there for a while because he likely had some bad beats because he's obviously a regular, but he hadn't been there in a while. So he's probably playing a little bit more conservative or within this type of range. So you're learning not only about the person and their tendencies and like to be observant of everything around you, but you're also putting this math side of things together
Numbers
too.
and
So
psychology, man, it's a great equation.
and then taking that and applying that, I was able to apply lessons that I learned there to growing, right? Like being sentient, like being attached to all your senses. That's another thing that I don't want to keep talking, but I realized that I'm very much attached to all my senses. My smell, my taste, my sight, my hearing, right? Like all of that is typically, especially when I walk into a grow room, is like on peak performance. Like I can hear something wrong, I can see something wrong, I can smell something wrong. As soon as I walk into a room, I can be like, "Oh, dude, this is way too cool and dry," right? Like a lot of people can do something like that. That's not hard, but just being like attached to all those little like cues, and that again, like it puts me in a situation where I can be more successful around the plants, and I can walk into somebody else's grow room where they might have a problem and be like, "Try this."
Yeah, because you could figure so many predictable scenarios that you have these potential solutions for issues that have yet to come.
Exactly. Or you just walk into something and you just smell it, right? I mean, you can go into a room, you smell something's wrong.
Yeah, you spend enough time in that room, any little difference, you're going to notice it.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. That doesn't stick with everybody. Like you would think, like
I can just feel it.
there's some dudes that just want to come get paid and go home. They don't
No
even
connection.
nothing else. Like that's it. And like and they're happy with that. And like to each their own, like hell yeah, I get it. But like to take yourself to that next level, like you got to be way more in tune than what you currently are.
Yeah, you gotta be super dialed in.
You want a dab, bro?
Yeah,
Let's set you up on one.
So, kind of my one other thing I'd like to get your 2 cents on, because we've talked about it on more than one occasion. It's like, what do you see like the future of cannabis looking like in general? I guess in the United States, we'll keep it more narrow.
Currently, everything's tough, man. Like it's really hard right now. There's a lot of people folding. There's a lot of people buying other people. There's you're either successful or you're not, and there's not much in between at this point. So it's really tricky. It's hard to answer this question because it's so much more developed into what is happening in like the world today as a whole, not just within the cannabis industry. Is this ready?
Yeah, that's right for you.
Unfortunately, I see a world, and again, we can talk in ranges, right? And I see a scenario where we go federally legal, and then hedge funds come in, and we have never seen anything like what a hedge fund will do. Like they'll go and swoop up all the good ones, put them all under one roof, right? Look what happened with the brewing community, right? Even like some guys got too big to be big, some guys couldn't survive in that mediocrity range, and so they came and swooped in and bought under. Or like some of the really good ones, the Bells or what have you. Like the Bells isn't owned by Bells anymore, right? Like it's owned by, I think that Budweiser owns Bells, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
Same kind of, I think the same type of scenario we're going to be looking at too.
Yeah, I remember we've talked a couple times, and you were mentioning like robots, laser.
Yeah, I haven't got that
plants.
part yet. Yeah, we'll get. You want to go to that now? Now we can talk about AI.
Yeah, for all here.
All right, so
what do you
AI.
think the future looks like?
We don't know what the future looks like with AI, and that's kind of exciting, but it's also can be scary. A lot of people look at AI like they took their jobs, you know, like they're like scared that they're gonna be out. Fortunately, my brother's extremely smart when it comes to AI and the things that he's researched and done with it, and it's our conclusion that AI will create more jobs than it will necessarily destroy. It's just going to be higher level jobs that are more important. If you're a grower in a situation where you're like a director of cultivation, you own the grow and you're the grower, whatever that scenario or situation might be, and you're successful, you have a very good opportunity to be the ones that train the AI.
So what about everybody else though? And I'm talking in terms of like life in general, like all jobs. Not
No, I
necessarily
know. We're talking
jobs.
about cannabis and like the grow tech position, right? The bottom end positions. All right, so within a cannabis grow, there's certain variables that can't be controlled, and there's certain variables that can be controlled. And the things that can't be controlled but can be maybe manipulated a little bit is like electricity, right? Like we have to pay an electric bill. We can manipulate it a little bit by going to LEDs or shutting our lights off 5 minutes early or whatever. You know, there can be small manipulations. When it comes to labor, that is one variable that I could foresee being cut and being able to drop the bottom line. And it wouldn't be long before an ROI is reached with a robot coming in to do the work that a human would do.
So what do you see it doing though?
Oh man,
Like cloning, transplanting, all
like
that?
the sky's the limit. Like really, you could really program it to do anything because you have AI behind that can understand, and AI can have a brain. It can have, which is like the mainframe. It can have eyes, which is like a drone. It can have arms and legs, which is like a laser. Or like I was talking to a guy earlier today. He's talking about those. There's the guys in Boston that made that dog that walks around like.
Yeah.
Like how long until you get something like that that's got lasers that can go in and make precision cuts on a plant? How long before a drone can fly into a room or sensors just can be picked up, or a drone flying over a 200-acre farm that because AI is behind it and can foresee things that happen before they happen, can be like, hey, plot 7, plant 6 in zone 4. You might want to keep an eye on this. There could be something happening here. Like that's the type of things that we're going to start seeing, and we'll see definitely cuts in labor because of it. And it's unfortunate, but it's also beneficial. If you told me it's either your grow and you got to put 10 grand in to buy a robot to keep it to going, or you're not going to make it in the next 3 years because you're paying too much in labor, then it's likely the labor that's going to get cut. Because for survivability.
So like, what do you like from a timeline perspective? Are you thinking like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like when do you?
I
think
don't know.
this will
10
be a
years.
thing?
Yeah, we'll see. Like 10 years, I think will give us a solid integration into what's coming and what is going to be here. Like you got to think things that happen with AI happen in like microseconds, right?
Yeah.
Like the amount
so quick.
exactly. Like and the adaptability is so fast, and like everything is now. And we live in a society where everybody wants something now.
Yeah.
Right. So like I said, it's the people that are going to be behind the scenes, programming the AI, teaching the AI, because it's still going to need to be taught. Right. There's still
It's a language.
I forget what it's called when AI is incorrect with the information that it spits out.
Yeah.
There's a term for it.
When you check it, when you G-check it.
Yeah, well, there's a term for it. It's like cancer or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it spits out. It sounds like it's right, and you could definitely read it and believe it's right, but the information is actually wrong within it. Like there needs to be people that can still sort that out, sort those types of algorithms, and like fix those holes.
Cite a wrong source.
Or like the people that are like the AI might not know that that's a wind-burnt leaf, and the guy has to say, okay, this is what a wind-burnt leaf looks like.
Yeah.
But
Right.
after
Still got
that, it
dial in
knows. You know,
What's that?
after that, it knows.
After that, it knows. Yeah.
Never needs to talk to you ever again.
But that's what you got to be, that guy that's teaching, is what I'm saying. Like you put yourself in a situation where you can at least train the AI so you're a little bit more stable. I could be completely wrong. Again, let's go back to the entire range. The whole infrastructure could collapse and everybody just could be fucked.
Right.
Like it
True
like
scenario.
or like
Potential. Could happen.
what it could go to Schedule 2 where it just is handled by the FDA, and the FDA says, okay, I'm just going to grow everything. Like that would never happen because they should be shutting down so many small businesses that it wouldn't. I don't foresee anything like that ever happening. The amount of job loss would be astronomical for an administration. Like talk about like turning your public on you. That would be one way to do it. So I don't foresee that necessarily happening, but it's within the range, right? Like we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. So
Yeah. No, that's fair.
and survivability. Like I'll keep going back. Survivability right now is everything because everybody is struggling. At least in this state. Like I know the other states, there are some states that are doing well. East Coast seems to be doing pretty well if you have a good put together brand. And we could get into this conversation too, the marketing side of things, like kind of what you guys are doing. if you're a good marketed brand, you're able to demand a little bit more for your product, which is again survivability. So if you're putting white label products out there, you're going to get white label pricing. You're not going to get anything that is going to help you survive in the long run. So there's more to the flower game than just the flower itself. There is that marketing side that still matters to get your face out there, to get your brand out there, to get some recognition and get some brand awareness.
Yeah, we actually just did a series of jars for a company. I won't mention them, but they last month saw a 60% increase in all their social media platforms. They also were able to get $300 more profit after paying for the jars, paying for the stickers. So they went from $1,500, I think, a pound to $2,060. And so after you pay for the jars and stickers, that's about a $300 bump. And so it's like,
it's huge.
The weed was
great
fire.
ROI, man.
That's huge. Even if you're only doing that on
amazing.
like 10 pounds in a crop, like that's massive. That's huge
That shit
help.
matters.
They told me this month that they don't have enough weed for all the orders that they have.
See, that's good marketing.
amazing.
That's if you have good product behind it too. Like
It's fire.
obviously,
The weed is fire.
Yeah, man.
exactly. If fire in, fire out, and like mix that with the right marketing, the right textures, the right
good
people
synergy.
behind you, it will boost your platform. So yes, it's very hard right now. It's not hard on everybody. There are some brands that are still doing really well, and how they have separated themselves is they've been able to get out there, market them. They've been around for a while, stuff like that.
Yeah, put identity to the brand. Let
Exactly.
people know that
Putting
this is
people
what
out
they're
out
doing.
in front where they can go meet those people too. Like there's still fans out there that like the brands and want to meet the brands. Look at MichiganMatt. Like that platform is huge. Like there's like a post every like 10 minutes minimal on there. Like constantly people talking about the flower, and these are all like typically fans. Like, and then the growers, you'll see some growers or some grows that will chime in. Like
See what's going on.
exactly,
Stay
but
relevant.
right,
Hear the
but
people out.
that community still exists. So being able to embrace and capitalize on that is huge.
Yeah, because they're touching every single base the way you need to hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy the way things are right now.
But like diversify, create new paths, create new niches, and create new products, and do the best with everything that you have in front of you. Like,
What do you think it all looks like in 25 years?
I have no idea.
That's wild.
I haven't even thought about it. Like the same question would go with what I said earlier. Like, how much is enough? Like,
It's never enough.
It's
who
immeasurable.
knows? Like, it will likely be in a scenario very much so like the beer industry. You know, you're gonna have your craft brews and you're gonna have your Budweisers. Like, you're gonna have the guy that is expecting a Marlboro cigarette every single time, and that's all they care about. That's all they want.
It's a tough thing to do with weed.
It totally is, because like we talked about earlier, it can change within a grow room, right? Like from one corner of a room to another corner of a room, you can have two plants that are the same strain do different things, just based on environmental factors. Now switch it from this side of the country to that side of the country and try to have the same product. It's tricky. It'll be similar, but
There's going to be some immeasurable differences that you just can't predict.
a lot of that stuff is just biomass farming, though, too, right? To give the people that want the carts, that want the spray on terps.
Well, that's
right?
easy to
Like,
be consistent.
exactly, and that
Keeping it mid.
that's how a Marlboro cigarette gets passed around the entire country, right? It's consistent. Like there's going to be those brands that just need to be pushing out that consistent product, but there's going to need to be the I don't know who's some hot breweries. I don't really drink beer, but
Yeah, me neither.
hot brewery A, B, C, right?
Who
Like,
do you think has done the multi-state operation the best that you've seen?
I can't answer that question. I won't answer.
I feel
that
like
question.
710, right?
Oh well, all right. So I guess because when I think of MSO, I think more like Ascend. Like I think like extremely large cultivation operations.
Maybe that's not the way to be consistent.
Maybe,
it's
yeah.
too big.
When you talk about like brands that like kind of carry like 710, yeah, I think 710 has done a really good job. They built themselves a very good platform out west, in Colorado, California,
Brought it over to
and
the
then
Midwest.
brought it with them. Yeah, and they still do really like. I'm very good friends with the guys over there. They're very big supporters of my events. But in the beginning of the Michigan 710. I didn't feel like the quality was as high as some of the stuff that I've seen in Colorado,
Yeah,
you know,
it
and
was
mid.
but I have also seen over the course of the last couple of years that their quality has gone up and has shifted towards the better. So
So they're
it
listening
takes
to
time to
the-
dial things in and dial other people's procedures, especially if you're learning, like if they have something that is strict among all their grows that they have to abide by this. Sometimes it's hard for a guy in Michigan that's never done it that way to adapt to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the scenario, but if anybody, that'd probably be the number one brand that from state to state that I've seen that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of who I could think of that'd be the best.
Yeah, because adaptation of new SOPs in uncharted territory, you know, the variability
Everything's
so
different.
big. Yeah, you're just gonna be like, oh man.
And like, so we've talked about regionalizing my events, right?
Right.
And making my MichiganMatt events like happen around the country.
Right. It's inevitable.
Well, I've had some people ask me to franchise it. And I said, there's no way that I'd ever do that because there's only one MichiganMatt. Like, there's only me.
You're the curation.
Exactly. Like, I am the one that goes to the parties, makes face with the people, and like walks in, makes sure everybody's having a good time, and puts the energy and the effort in. I can't guarantee that XYZ dude in California is gonna do the same thing for me.
You have
Like,
your own
not.
reputation.
what's that?
I said probably not. It's
But-
not his name on the banner.
It's not his name, exactly. It's mine. So like I have to carry my reputation. So it's hard for me to branch and do to like let go of that type of control. I guess you could say I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to that type of thing. But
It's a grower thing.
Gotta keep the
it's
quality
that
there.
grower perfectionist
that
thing.
grower thing,
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah. There's definitely going to be some opportunities for me to do some things out of state, but finding the laws that each state has to abide by is one thing. Not everybody has the law written the way that Michigan does to allow us to do the things that we do at our parties.
We're in a great state.
We're in a great state. They do. There's a lot of good that is happening here.
Yeah.
But
But other states are not like that.
some of them are like there's some emerging markets too that are going to pop off for a minute.
Yeah. We just gotta wait on it.
Yeah, and it's going to have where there's going to be an imbalance supply demand curve, just like there was here. Like the wheel cycles and it repeats, and it's just kind of, I think those windows are going to shorten a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna come back
Makes
around.
sense. Any closing thoughts or ideas?
No, not really at this point. I think we've talked about a
Covered
lot.
a lot.
All right, well, let's shut her down.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming through, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks.
you,
Yeah,
man.
appreciate you guys.
Here we go.
Hell
See
yeah.
you guys May 1st.
Thank you.